Okay, so this video clip is all about how to write one number as a percentage of another. Okay, so question 1 states that in a sale the price of a jacket is reduced. The jacket has a normal price of £52, but then obviously it's put on sale and the new price is £41.60. And what we're asked to do is find the percentage reduction in the price of that jacket for 3 marks. Okay, so with this question what we need to do is we need to find the amount it's reduced by and then divide that by the original amount and multiply by 100. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to find the percentage change by finding the actual change divided by the original amount times by 100%. Okay, and to start us off, what I've done here is I've worked out how much it's been reduced by. So it's been reduced by £10.40. That negative sign there just means it's been reduced. So let's go ahead and do that now. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the amount of change, which is 10.4, divided by the original amount, which is £52, and times that by 100%. Since this is a non-calculator question, I'm just going to show you how to work this out without a calculator. Well, I don't like decimals in fractions, so I'm just going to multiply this by 10 and multiply the denominator by 10 just to get them to whole numbers. So that'll give me 104 over 520. Now, this 104 goes exactly into 520 5 times. So in essence, this is the same as 1/5. If you're not sure on why that is, you can just divide the top and bottom by 2 and keep dividing it by a common factor until you get 1/5. So this is 1/5 times 100%. Well, a fifth of 100% is the same as 100% divided by 5. 100% divided by 5 is 20%. I've left this negative sign in here just to show you it's a reduction. Okay, so the answer is actually just 20%. We don't put the negative sign in the solution line. The entire question there is worth 3 marks. Question 2, again a non-calculated question. Riddington and Greenock are 2 small villages. The population of one of them has increased from 80 people to 120 people. The population of the other has decreased from 200 to 120. We need to show that Riddington has had the greater percentage change in its population. And we've got to show all our working. This question is worth 3 marks. So in this question here, I'm just going to underline the key information here. So here's the key information for each of these 2 different villages. I'm also written down the formula for percentage change. Remember, the percentage change is just the change as a fraction of the original and then turn that into a percentage. So I've split my working here into 2 different columns, one for each village. I'm just going to start with Riddington first. So Riddington has had a change of 120 minus 80. In other words, it's had a positive change of 40 people. I need to divide that by the original amount. So 40 divided by 80 times 100%. So that is the same as a half of 100%, since this is the same as a half. And half of 100% is 50%. So without a calculator, this shows that Riddington had a 50% increase, since it's a positive value here. Greenock changed by negative 80. 80 people left Greenock. So this is negative 80 over 200 times by 100%. Well, again, without a calculator, this is not easy to do, but if I just simplify this fraction here and find an equivalent fraction which is easier to multiply by 100. So dividing by 2 on the numerator and denominator, I'll get 40 over 100. And of course, when I'm times by 100, these 200 just cancel. Remember, this line here, this vinculum, means divide. And since I'm timesing by the same amount, these 2 things just cancel out. So I'm left with a 40% decrease, negative 40. So I've therefore shown Riddington, this first village here, had a greater percentage change. This is a 50% change, this is a 40% change. The entire question there is worth 3 marks. Question 3. I'm given 3 rectangles. The area of rectangle B, I'm told, is 10% greater than the area of rectangle A. The area of C is again in turn 10% greater than that of B. By what percentage is the area of C greater than that of area A? So in this question here, essentially I need to relate the area of C with the area of A. And this is how I'm going to do it. First of all, I'm going to recognise that a 10% increase means that this rectangle B is now 110% of rectangle A. Similarly, rectangle C is 110% of rectangle B. Now, rather than writing 110%, I'm going to write that as a decimal. 110% as a multiplier is 1.1. So 1.1 times A is equal to B. Okay, in the similar way, 1.1 times B is equal to C. So if I now substitute this equation into that equation here, I get C in terms of A. So 1.1 times 1.1A gives C. And of course, 1.1 times 1.1 is the same as 1.21. If you're not sure why that is, just multiply these two values here as though they were whole numbers. 11 times 11 is 121. Then if you divide 11 by 10 and this 11 by 10, you need to divide 121 by 100. So it's shown here the area of C is 121% the area of A. This represents a 21% increase due to that multiplier. So there's a 21% increase there. Just a note, remember a 10% increase followed by another 10% increase is not a 20% increase. Okay, so this rectangle here isn't just 20% greater than A, and we've actually proven it here with the maths. So this whole question here is worth 3 marks. If you're not sure on how to find multipliers, be sure to look at my video clip on percentages in this channel. You can also download the PDF file from mathsupgrade.co.uk. Question 4 is the final non-calculated question in this booklet. It states that a bonus of £2,100 is shared between 10 people who work for a company. 40% of the bonus is shared equally between 3 managers. The rest of the bonus is shared equally between the 7 remaining salesmen. One of the salesmen suggests if the bonus is shared equally between all 10 people, he'll get 25% more money. Is he correct? And obviously we need to show how we get our answer. This question is worth 5 marks. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to underline the key information and then I'm going to show how I'm going to find this answer. This is not an easy question. There's a lot of steps here. First of all, I'm going to note that once you take out 40% of the bonus, you're left with 60%. So 60% of that bonus will be shared between 7 salespeople. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to find the total amount the salesmen receive first of all. So I'm going to find that 60% of 2,100. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find how much each salesman then receives by dividing the answer for part 1 by 7. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to find 25% of that amount and add it on. So now separately after that, I'm going to share that original bonus between all 10 people and compare my 2 answers for part 3 and part 4. And if the answer is the same, then that salesman is correct. If the answer is not the same, then he's obviously incorrect. So let's start that now. So first of all, let's find the total amount that the salesmen all receive. So they receive what's left from 40%. So they receive 60% of that £2,100. 60% of 2,100 without a calculator can be done by writing 60% as a fraction and then realizing that this factor of 100 in 2,100 and the factor of 100 in the denominator both cancel each other out. So in essence, I'm finding 60 times 21. 60 times 21 is the same as doing 60 times 210, which is 1,260. And you can do that using the column method if you prefer. Next, since there's 7 salespeople, I need to do 1,260 divided by those 7 people. Using the column method, using short division, I can find the answer as being 180. Now, the salesman suggested if the bonus is shared equally between all 10 people, he'll get 25% more money. So let's see if he gets 25% more than 180. Well, 25% of 180 is the same as finding a quarter of 180, since 25% is 25 out of 100, which is the same as a quarter. So 180 divided by 4 is 45. So that's 25% of 180. Let's find 25% more than 180. In other words, 180 increased by 25%, which is 180 increased by 45. That gives me 225. Now let's park this for a moment. Let's see what we get when you share this whole bonus equally between the 10 people. In other words, 2,100 divided by 10, and that is 210. So let's see if he's right or wrong. Well, no, he's actually wrong. 25% more than 180 is 225, not 210. So we've answered that original question there, we've shown all our working, and we've got 5 marks for that question. The rest of the questions in this booklet are all calculator questions. So question 5. Irina sells ice creams. One day she sells 80 ice creams. The next day she sells 108 ice creams. We have to work out the percentage increase in the number of ice creams that she sells. So percentage change is just given by the actual change divided by the original amount, and then convert that into a percentage by multiplying by 100. So essentially I need to do this. I need to find the actual change, divide it by the original amount, which was 80, and then times it by 100%. So for the 3 marks, let's find the change, which in this case is 28, divided by 80, which I can do with the calculator to get 0.35, and times that by 100, which gives me 35%. And that's a reasonable, a sensible answer. That question there was 3 marks. Question 6. Last year, Jo paid £245 for her car insurance. This year she's paid a lot more. Work out the percentage increase in the cost of her car insurance. So, again, the formula we need here is this one. The percentage change is the change divided by the original as a fraction, and then convert that into a percentage by multiplying by 100. So we need to find the actual change here, which is going to be 883 subtract 245. That gives us 638, just using a calculator. Divide that by the original amount, which is 245, and then multiply by 100. That gives us 260%. Now this may seem like an odd percentage since it's greater than 100, but you can see that her car insurance has increased by a lot. So it's almost gone up 3-fold. So that is a reasonable answer there, and that is 3 marks. So Franco buys a house for £146,500. He sells it for a little bit more. Calculate the percentage profit that he makes. This is 3 marks. So even though the numbers are a bit difficult here, you're allowed a calculator, and it is just a simple question about percentage change. So the formula you need, again, is this one here. It's the amount of change divided by the original amount times by 100%. So the amount that the house has changed in value by is given by the difference in these 2 values. If I divide that by the original, which is 146,500, and times by 100%, I'll get an answer of 8%. So that is a reasonable answer, and that's 3 marks for that question. Question 8. Emily buys a pack of 12 bottles of water. The pack costs £5.64. She sells all 12 bottles for 50p each. Work out her percentage profit, giving your answer correct to 1 decimal place. So in this question here, I'm just going to note that 12 bottles for 50p each is the same as 12 times 0.5 pounds. So that is £6 that she sold the bottles for. She bought them for £5.64. You need to make sure here we either use pence or pounds, don't mix the 2. So I'm just using pounds here. You can instead convert this into pence and you'll get the same final answer. Here's the formula we need again. The percentage change is a change as a fraction of the original, and then convert that into a percentage by multiplying by 100. So the percentage change is £6 minus that £5.64 divided by the £5.64 original amount, and that times that by 100, and you get 6.4% to 1 decimal place. And that is your 3 marks for that question. Question 9. This question involves percentage increase, but it also involves direct proportion. If you're not sure on how to use direct proportion, be sure to check out my video clip on this channel. This question is worth 3 marks. I'm told that pendulum of length L has a time period of t seconds. The time period is directly proportional to the square root of the length. the length of the pendulum is increased by 40%. Work out the percentage increase in that time period. So in this question, like I said earlier, it involves proportionality. I can say that the time period is directly proportional to the square root of the length. So that is that statement represented mathematically there. Instead of using this proportionality symbol, I can use it as an equation with an equal sign and a constant of proportionality there. So my time period, original time period, is equal to that constant, which I don't know, times by the square root of the length. When I increase the length by 40%, the length becomes 1.4 times what it was before. So the length is now 1.4 L. The constant is always the same since it's a constant. The time period is now labelled as T2. Now, following this through, okay, I get this. I can say that the square root of 1.4 with a calculator is actually 1.183. So I've rewritten this equation as just the constant times 1.183. Since the percentage change is given by that formula there, the actual change divided by the original amount times by 100%. When I substitute in the change is actually given by the difference in these two time periods. Here's the final time period, 1.183 k root L. Here's the initial time period, k root L. The original is also given here as the denominator of that fraction. Now, this fraction here, since I've got a factor of k root L in the entire of the numerator and the entire of the denominator, this k root L can simply just cancel out. So I'm left with 1.183 subtract 1. 1.183 subtract 1 is 0.183. Times that by 100%, that is 18.3%. And that is your 3 marks for that question there. Question 10. The first part of this question is quite straightforward. It's just 2 marks. I'm told that A and B are 2 companies. The table shows information about the sales of each company and the number of workers for each company in 2004 and 10 years later. Work out the percentage increase in sales from 2004 to 2014 for the first company, Company A. Well, the percentage increase in sales, okay, is given by these columns here. So this is the column for Company A, okay, and the formula we need is this one here again. Percentage change is a fraction of the original converted to a percentage by multiplying by 100. So quite simply for that, that is the change, which is 68, divided by the original, which is 320, times by 100%. So that answer there is 21.25%. And that is, in part B, I'm asked which company had the most sales per worker in 2014, Company A or Company B, showing how I get my answer. Well, 2014 is all of this row here. And so here's Company A, 2014 information, and here's Company B. To find the sales per worker, I just need to divide this amount, which is in millions of pounds, divided by the number of workers. And similarly for Company B, divide 57 million by 640. If I do that here underneath, I've split my working out area into 2 separate columns. So Company A, 388 million, divided by 3,200, which is 121,250. For Company B, I get £89,062.50. So, which company had most sales per worker? Well, Company A had most sales per worker, and I've even quoted roughly how much that was in pounds. That question there is worth 3 marks. The overall question was 5 marks. Question 11. Marie invests £8,000 in an account for 1 year. At the end of the year, interest is added to her account. Marie pays tax on this interest at a rate of 20%. She pays £28.80 tax. Work out the percentage interest rate for the account. So in this question here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to represent tax as the percentage. Then I'm going to find the interest. Once I found the interest, I can then find the percentage change. So let's do that now. Since the tax, £28.80, is at a rate of 20%, I've written that as an equivalent equation here. Now, I need to find 100% of the interest. So I need to find even though this was 20% of the interest, I need to find what the whole interest was, and that's 100%. I can get that by multiplying 20% by 5. Since I'm multiplying this by 5, I can just multiply this value by 5 to get the total amount of interest, and that is £144. Now, to find the percentage interest rate for the account, I just need to write the change divided by the original times by 100%. Since it changed by £144 and the original amount was £8,000, I can write that as a fraction, turn it into a percentage by multiplying by 100%, and that gives me 1.8%. And that whole question there is worth 3 marks.